Hi, welcome back to ProjecTraxx, part 2 demo on the back end. This is a screen that's going to that you're going to log into once you're in your office. And again, this can be used from any smartphone, iPhone, iPad, any type of device that has an internet connection. You're going to go ahead and log in, and this is a screen that comes up. You can see we have 3 jobs here that are in production. And I'll just go, I'm going to spend a few minutes here just kind of highlighting the system of how it works and some of the benefits and features of it that it has. First of all, when you log into reports, you're going to be able to see exactly where your employees are working and when they started and how much time they've been working on a task. We currently have 5 people that are logged into the system, meaning we have 5 employees that are logged in doing a different task. You can see the first one, he's not working on a project, he's doing equipment maintenance. So this isn't going to be time that's going to be tracked against a job, it's going to be more or less tracked to company overhead time. You've got Jeremy Thornton here working on a fireplace, he's forming. You can see he logged in at 7:54 this morning, and so far he's worked 7.67 hours today. And you can also see that you've allowed or allocated 7.5 hours to do forming. So he should be about done. So you could always go out there in the shop and take a look at this. So this is just a quick shot to see where everyone's working. Again, you don't have to be in your shop to look at this. You could be at home. Every job needs a customer. So you're going to enter your customer when you get a new job. You're just going to hit add here, and screen's going to pop up, and you're going to fill in all the customer information. Pretty basic. And we got a section in here for vendors, so you can add all your vendors in if you'd like. You don't necessarily have to add any of your vendors in here, but if you want to keep them all in one place and all their contact information, this is where you're going to do it. Your employees, this is where you're going to enter all your employee information. You're going to give them login information and so forth. It's real important here, you're going to put their labor rate. This Chris Smith is making $17 an hour. And you also, right below there, you're going to enter a burden rate. Your burden rate is going to be what it costs you to have that employee. Taxes, insurance, and so forth. Now, some may want to take the burden rate on many different levels. Number one, you may not want to track their burden rate at all, even though it is part of doing business, and it does cost you, for example, in this case, $5 an hour to have Chris for every hour that he's working. So, another real effective way to look at this, to really get a true picture when I show you some reports later, is to figure up your whole burden of your whole operation. Meaning also figure in your rent, your utilities, the amount you pay yourself, pretty much your whole budget for the year, and you're going to divide that into the number of employees you have and divide that out to see what it's going to cost per hour. So that burden rate might be more than the actual labor rate. But at least now at the end of every job, you're going to know if you really truly made money or not from a company's perspective and not just necessarily from the job. Okay, we come into users. You're going to also give users an ID, and this is going to be a section where you not only have to enter all your employees, because maybe you have an employee there but he's not going to use the system for whatever reason that you choose, but it's real important to understand that we also have different levels of roles that you can address to your employees. So for example, we've given Chris Smith a manager position. So if you give him permission to get into the back end of the system, he's only going to be able to see a certain amount of information. Could be read only, could be full access, whatever it may be. Whatever access you want to give to him, there's many different levels. Okay, now let's also talk about customers. One of the features that we put in here, and you may use it or you may not, but if nothing else, it has very good perception value when you're bidding jobs, more or less probably bigger jobs, city jobs, jobs that you're working with big general contractors. You can give your let's say project manager for the city, give him a customer read only. So he can log in, and whatever steps that you want him to see, or whatever steps that you're tracking. So if he wants to know when the design is done, when the samples are going to be done, when the forming is going to be done, and so forth, he's going to see every step and when it started and when it was complete. So you might eliminate a few phone calls just by giving him login information where he can actually see exactly where his job's at. Also, it's going to put him at ease that he knows that he can go to one place and see all his information. Now, some people want to use that and some don't. You may not want to because you don't want them to see how fast you can make a project for the amount of money that you're charging. But that's up to you. It's there for you to use. You don't have to use it. You're going to enter in your inventory. This isn't going to manage any inventory, but you go ahead and log in and create all your different inventory products that you want. Now you can be as detailed as you'd like, or you can be very vague as you wish. If you want to figure up your whole concrete mix design, for example, let's say the mix design that you're using, it costs you $10 a square foot, and you know you're doing a job and there's 100 square feet, you're just going to enter 100 square feet and choose the mix design that you want, and it'll go ahead and calculate that out for you. Assemblies. This is a section where if you're making products, let's say planners, and you make quite a few of them from time to time, you can make an assembly. So basically you're going to put everything that's required to make this planner, and so when you have one, you just pull up the assembly, print off the work order, you know exactly all the supplies you're going to need, and so forth. Talk about the setup of the company. Very easy to set up and run on your own. First of all, you're going to enter project types. You can create any type of projects you'd like. We've got in here countertop, fireplace, sink, vessel bowl, bathtub, planter, wall panels, and bar. Very easy to add. You're just going to add the type of ID, a description, and a sort sequence right here, and just add it, and it's there. If you ever want to go back and edit one of them, just hit the pencil, edit, and save it again. If you have a shop where you have operational areas, we've also built a section in here. So if when you're printing out work orders, and you've got different areas, like let's say a forming area, a sealing area, a casting area, you can actually designate when you're entering the job where forming is. So all the forming orders go over into area 1. So you can separate that in your shop. Some do, some don't. Talk about the project steps. These are going to be all the steps that you track, like labor, consultation time, estimating, design, R&D, samples, and so forth. I suggest you enter all the different steps that you can think of. Doesn't mean that you have to track every one of them every time. When you're building a job, for example, if you're building a countertop, and this job really is just kind of a quick and be done type of project, and you don't really care to see how many hours you spent in consultation and samples and templating, forming, but it is important for you to know how many hours it took you to make the job. You can go ahead and just put labor, so you're only tracking one thing. So your employee or you would log into Mrs. Jones' job, for example, and hit labor and clock in. So he's never going to have to clock in and out of different steps. He's just going to clock into labor. Ultimately still going to give you the same cost, just it's not going to break out all the information because you didn't you didn't track all the different steps. So if you want to see a very detailed list, you're going to add to the jobs consultation time, estimating, design, and R&D, samples, so forth. Again, you set these up on your own. Project priority, you get a chance to create opportunities of normal, rush, fill in, whatever you want to call them. Project status, the program is going to allow you to separate all your jobs through active, complete, delayed, pending, hold, inquiry, killed, lost. Production is quoted, is archived. We've tried to come up with every scenario that you could think of. So you can go back, if you quoted a job, which this system will also allow you to quote your job, and you lost it, you can go ahead and classify that as a lost case. a lost job. So if you ever want to go back and maybe, why are we losing all these jobs? Why are we losing? It seems like they're all bathtubs. Well, maybe you're overpriced, etc. So, or if it was killed or whatever, delayed, you can go ahead and get it out of the system. Just put it in a delayed file and get it out of your production jobs, and just focus on your production jobs and come back to delayed when it comes back into progress. Your time activity, we call production any job that's going to be tracking time against, let's say, an invoice job. But you can also create other things like meeting, if you want to track your meeting times, your breaks, your lunch, travel time, cleanup, or if you're doing like equipment maintenance and so forth. Again, you create these. You can call them whatever you want. If you're in another industry such as decorative flooring or woodworking or construction, this program can be used literally for anything. It's not just for concrete countertops and so forth. Because you create the steps you're tracking. All we're doing is tracking time against different steps and stages that you identify and that's important to you. If you want to, there's many different ways that you can log into the system. But if you want to use a user badge, hold on, I accidentally logged myself out of here. If you want to use a touchscreen, you can do so. And you can also use, let's say if you want to use a swipe, like if they want to swipe their ID or a credit card or any type of magnetic strip, you can actually code that to their name, and that's how they log in every morning. Maybe more for a shop atmosphere where you maybe have a kiosk out in the middle of the floor where guys are just constantly coming up, swiping their badge. That's instantly logging them in, and from there they can log into whatever job and tasks they're working on. Let's take a look at a completed job and some of the steps that's been created. This job has been completed. You can see below you've got all the different descriptions and steps that we've tracked in this job, from consultation all the way down to installation and travel time. Anything that you see in red is going to mean that this is time that you went over in your budgeted time allowed to do that task. So, for example, templating we allowed 2.5 hours, and it took Jeremy Thornton 2.63 hours. Forming 20 hours, it took a little over 20 hours. So this could give you a lot of good information to keep you on track. So, for example, you log into your system one morning and you see that you're almost to your allotted time, and you walk out to the shop without even asking your employee, and you see that they're easily going to have another 4 or 5 hours in this job, and you're almost to the allotted hours that you set for that step, you could figure something out real quick. Do you have an employee issue? Or maybe you weren't fair in your time, or maybe you didn't understand it was going to take a little longer than it actually did. And you can figure that out right then. Also, when you go into future jobs that maybe you're doing a job that's an awful lot like this one, you can go back and reference this and just see how many hours it took you, so you can compare it when you're doing a job bid, for example, or budgeting or scheduling your week. Take a look at notes. There's a section here that you can add notes as you go. Anything you want, just type it in and you're going to add it. It's all going to be documented, the date, the time, and who did it. We have a section in here for documents, so you're going to add any Excel spreadsheets, PDFs, CAD files, you name it, Word documents, scanned documents, whatever it may be. So you can take all your information in the job and stick it into this system without having to have file cabinets, and eventually you get so tired of them that you end up getting rid of some of the files. So here you can just put it in the system, which is cloud-based. You have access to it anytime, anywhere. We also have a section in here for photos that you can log in a lot of different photos, many as you want, before and afters, any crucial part of the job that you want your team to see, whatever it may be. There's a section for that. This is a section where you're going to build your quote. Very easy to build a quote. And probably the most important one is in the reports. You can view your P&L of this job. Once a job's complete, you can instantly see how you did. So now you've got some good information to talk to your team about. Maybe you could celebrate that you're real profitable, or maybe you could have a come to Jesus meeting that we lost money on this job, and figure out why and what happened, and what type of things you can put in place to correct it. So it's going to break it out for you, your profit, your material, your labor, and your burden. Remember, we talked about that burden rate. A lot of people overlook that overlook it, but it's very important to put in your job as well. As you scroll down here, you're going to see your total breakout of your materials, and you're also going to see every log in and out of everybody that logged in and out of that job, and how many total hours it took you, and the cost and labor hours. Keep in mind, every employee that you put in the system, you might be paying one guy $10 an hour, $120. Every time they log in, that's the amount that it's going to pull against this job. So some of the features of tracking all of the functions of a job. Come back up in your reports. This will also do your time card. You've got today's time, you've got today's summary. As this week goes on, it's Monday, as every day goes on, it's going to build the card out as you go. So this will be serve as your time card as well. Another function in here, you can kind of see where you're at for the month and for the year. See how well you're doing. It's going to give you a nice graph chart. You're going to see every month your total invoiced amount, your total labor, total materials for the month, your total burden cost, and your total profit. So every end of the month, you're going to see exactly where you're at. You're still going to want to use like QuickBooks for your accounting if you choose to do that, but this will give you a good idea exactly where you're at. Only thing that won't be real accurate on this, and it just determines on how you do the burden rate, is if you truly tracked all your burden rate for your whole operation. If you do that, this should come out pretty dang close to your profit and loss, because you're entering all your materials, all your labors in there, so it should come out real close. If you choose just to do the burden rate of, let's say the insurance, taxes, and so forth on payroll information, it's going to exclude all your overhead on there. So that's a choice that you have to make when you set the system up. You can always change it going forward as well. So this is a nice shot to show you throughout the year. Didn't want to spend a whole lot of time here, but wanted to just show you a little bit of the back end of how Project works once you're in the system, and some of the features of it. So please call us if you have any questions, or shoot us an email if you want to do a webinar. I'd be more than happy to do so. Thanks a lot and have a great day.